On this edition of the OFN Today, Teddy Savransky, sports analyst for Covers.com, will help me to preview the 2018 NFL season with division-by-division predictions, including our Super Bowl picks, Super Bowl sleepers, a Thursday night preview, and more. As the OFN Today on the Ourlads Football Radio Network starts now. It's Thursday, September 6th, 2018. I'm Greg DePalma. Thanks for tuning in to the OFN Today. The OFN Today is brought to you by Ourlads.com with the best football depth charts on the net. JerryRadcliffe.com, providing unique insight into the Virginia Athletic Program with features and other items you just can't find anywhere else. And Covers.com, featuring live scores, stats, and odds, and is considered the most convenient and entertaining source for sports news and facts with over 45 million visits a year. All right, on today's show, I'm going to preview the 2018 NFL season with my co-host, Teddy Savransky. Teddy's worked on ESPN.com, was featured on an ESPN 30 for 30, as well as CBS, Bloomberg TV, CNBC, and more. You can follow Teddy on Twitter at Teddy_covers. So, Teddy, have you purchased the new book, How to Break the Rules, Infuriate Half the Population, and Become a Millionaire by Colin Kaepernick?
I have not.
I hear it's a must-read kin to the latest Dr. Seuss book, and it's not a bad buy either.
Yeah, but the question is that book going to help me make money betting the NFL this year? And it probably won't.
All right, well...
And when you talk about like what I'm reading in the summer and what I'm reading in my spare time, it's usually...
Oh, I hear you. Well. I mean, it's really for entertainment only. For people like you and me. I mean, you're at it a little bit more on the handicapping side than I am, of course, but just overall, there's just so many other things to be a sports fan than to waste your time with that kind of stuff. I know you're in Vegas, so tell us a little bit about Khalil Mack. I know the Raiders are coming to town soon. It's not a Raider town yet, but you're West Coast, so Raider fans taking that pretty hard over there, huh?
Well, it's you say it's not a Raider town yet. It is a Raider town already. And
is it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, it's not even close.
All right.
When you talk about, where, and Vegas is a place that, we have more than 2 million people living here now, and like me, many of them came from elsewhere. So you have a lot of loyalty to wherever you came from, whatever fan bases you came from. But Oakland has taken over the town in terms of, like, the kids. They're all Raider fans now, and we would expect that to continue moving forward. I'm not going to say a sense of disappointment with the Khalil Mack situation, because the fact is, A, John Gruden was right. They couldn't afford to pay Mack and Carr and have a deep roster. And B, they got a pretty good haul for him in terms of a couple of number ones for the perennial Pro Bowler. That being said, for this year, it's not necessarily a good move for Oakland when you have one Pro Bowl caliber player on defense and you trade him away for nothing in the short term. Obviously, there's a lot of disappointment. And in terms of fan support, Khalil Mack is a guy that the fans absolutely loved. And from that standpoint, there really is a fair bit of disappointment around Las Vegas after the trade.
If any sports fans, I know they're new to professional sports, but if there's any professional sports fan base that can appreciate what a rebuild is like, and that you don't necessarily have to have superstars right away, to enjoy some success, especially when you're new to the town. And I got to believe that's the long-term plan of the Raiders anyway, is, look, we really got to build this thing for when we're in Vegas and selling tickets and marketing and all of that. And so we know John's going to be here for a long time. That is exactly why we brought him here, to hopefully be here for the next 7 to 10 years and build a championship team and a culture. It's going to be a lot harder to do that if we're spending 80% of our salary cap on 2 players. Here we get a couple of first-round draft picks. That gives us, 3 next year? So that gives them a leg up on trying to rebuild and bring in talent. Like you said, short-term, going to be an issue, but they still have a young quarterback. They will have a lot more money and many more draft picks ahead.
Well, the thought, wasn't that this was going to be a rebuilding year for Oakland. They were lined as a 500 team coming into the campaign. Many people thought they were capable of competing in the AFC West. So the disappointment level is that here's a team that 2 years ago looked like they were going to be competing for titles. Last year took a major step back, and now it looks like that step back will continue into 2018.
All right, let's go through the divisions. We might as well. I'll tell you what. Let's start with the East. We'll get to the Raiders in the West in a little bit. We'll start with the AFC East, and this is an easy one for the two of us. So I've got my pen here, and I'll be able to jot down your picks as well. But we all know the Patriots are winning the division, and it's madness to even put any money on them to win the division. I don't know what anybody would be thinking with that. Because what would you make, like 5 cents on $1 million bet, something like that?
No, I mean you have to like $12 to win $1.
Okay. Would you recommend that? Would you recommend it?
Of course not.
All right, let's go to who you think will just finish second, third, and fourth. I'm going to go Jets, Bills, Miami, but you know what? I think it can go in any order, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I mean, and what I really focus on here is sleepers. Obviously the Patriots are the favorites. They deserve to be the favorite. But if someone's going to steal this title from the Patriots, who could it be?
Okay.
I say Miami.
Okay.
Would be because they're the only one of the three teams that has any semblance of an offense.
Well, that's the whole idea why I just said, and I think that it's going to make it fun in this division, second, third, fourth, because anything can happen. I think you'll get 10 different people making 10 different predictions on how that'll go.
Yeah, I'll call Dolphins, Jets, Bills for second, third, and fourth.
Dolphins, Jets, and Bills. And by the way, I could see where you're going with Gaze, and if Tannehill takes that next step up, and if you would think if that happens, Amendola maybe has a big year. Parker, they're going to need to step up. So I think Gaze is a good coach. I just don't know if Tannehill's the guy. And if Tannehill doesn't have a really good season and stay healthy, it's time for them to draft a quarterback next year.
I mean, look, we see every team that doesn't win immediately, fire the coach.
Yeah.
Quarterback throws a big, I need a new quarterback. It's not like they're growing quarterbacks on trees, all right? And Tannehill, 2 years ago, had an A-level season, and going into last year, there was a lot of buzz on me. I mean, Tannehill got hurt. It's not like he's been hurt every year. He's been, crushed. No, Tannehill, to me, is a guy who deserves the chance to develop. And I think Adam Gase will
always had that. That's for sure. And they don't even have anybody waiting in the wings, so they have put it all on Tannehill. But that's why I said also he's got to stay healthy. And
if there's one team that should sign Colin Kaepernick, it's the Miami Dolphins because their backup quarterback situation is a disaster.
Somehow I think that ship has sailed with Colin Kaepernick playing in the NFL again, but crazier things have happened. All right, let's go to the North. And so this is where it starts getting interesting already for me. This is my top division pick as far as for odds and value. I'm taking the Bengals. They're about 8-9 to 1 just to win the division. I think they're going to be a lot better than they were last year. I think people have kind of just given up on them, but I haven't. They're deeper at receiver. Ross is healthy. That's going to be a great 1-2 punch. Eifert's healthy temporarily. Bernard's healthy. Mixon's there. The offensive line is better. Including, of course, the deal they made to bring in the kid from Buffalo, Glenn. I like the defense up front. They got some pass rushers. Willis should have a big year. Atkins is big. Jackson, the corner, might be one of the top young corners in football. So I'm going to go Bengals first, and I'm actually taking Baltimore second with Pittsburgh third, Cleveland in last. And I don't know. I'm just getting a feeling that we saw it last year when they lost to the Jags in the playoffs. The whole week leading up into that game, it was a big distraction. They were completely just not focused. This whole offseason, I'm not sure how focused they are either. I'm not saying they're going to have a terrible year. They still win maybe 8-9 games, 9 maybe, I would say. But I'm just going to say they just barely miss out on the postseason.
And remember, the Steelers are $2 favorites to win the division. You have to lay $2 to win $1 on Pittsburgh just to come out of the AFC North with the title. And there's no way I make that bet.
No,
I can make an argument. You can make an argument. It's interesting when you look at the numbers for the Bengals and the Browns. I'm seeing Cincy at 9 to 1. I'm seeing Cleveland like 10 to 1.
Yeah,
11 to 1.
That's crazy. That's nuts. I'm sorry. There's too much hype on the Browns. Too much.
No. It speaks to the talent level. Remember Jacksonville going into last year. Oh, the Jags always stink. They stink. And draft after draft, they just accumulated talent. And there was finally so much talent on that defense that it didn't matter how many stupid draft choices they made. Their defense was just too good. You grade out Cleveland's defense, man. It's a scary-looking unit. There's not a weakness anywhere on that defense. And I don't know if there's a better defense in the NFL. at 10 or 11 to 1 to win the division than the Cleveland Browns. That being said, if I'm picking here, I'm going to pick Baltimore. I'm with you on Pittsburgh as being very, very vulnerable. And I mean, the Ravens, only the playoffs once in the last 4 years. All of a sudden, Harbaugh's seat's a little bit hot.
But they've been close. They've been close.
And Flacco, from all reports, Flacco's had the best offseason he's had since the Super Bowl win.
Sure.
They're as healthy as they've been in any recent season. Their schedule's reasonable. I like Baltimore as being a team that has a real potential to come out of this division with the title. They're 3-1 in most books here in Las Vegas.
Okay, and how are you going to run it out? You going to have Pittsburgh second?
Oh, yeah, let's do ball. I really think that Pittsburgh and Cincy, 8-8, 9-7, 7-9, somewhere in that range. And I will still pick the Browns last.
Yeah, I mean, I can see Cleveland being a competitive 5 to 6 win team. I could see that. But
and that's right where they're lying. They're lying to the there's been a ton of over money on the Browns.
That makes sense.
But they've been bet up to a 6-win. They're being asked to win 6 games, which means they've got to win 7.
Yeah, I'd go with the under. Yeah, if that was the case. Okay, South. And I don't think this is a big surprise. I think everybody has either Houston or Jacksonville. I'm going with Houston. I said before the draft last year that I was really high on Deshaun Watson. Of course, I never expected him to play that good that early. He was just incredible until the injury. So now he's back. Watt's back. I watched Blake Bortles play in the preseason, and it's like, I know it's the preseason, but does this guy ever get better?
No.
So, no, it doesn't look like that. So I'm going to go with Houston first, Jacksonville second, even though I wouldn't be surprised if they finish in third. Tennessee, Indy. And this is going to be a very competitive division. I think the Colts are going to be a little bit better than people think because once Luck gets into a groove, I think he's going to be like the old Luck, and Luck was a great player in this league. And I think Tennessee's going to be better as well as the season goes on, as long as Marcus Mariota steps up. I like their offensive coordinator. I think they're going to kind of get things going a little bit. I know they made the playoffs last year, but that was like a backdoor. Nobody really, I know they won a playoff game even, but I think this year's team is actually be better than last year's team, and they might not even make the playoffs.
Yeah, there's no love for Tennessee. Not here in Vegas, not amongst the pundits. Despite the fact, you want to talk about a team that had a good offseason. Sure, they made a coaching change, which you don't often see from a team that won a playoff game the previous season.
Yeah.
But it's a coaching change that the players appear to have responded to. We've seen the passing game. Certainly all the reports out of Tennessee is, last year's number one, White is having a monster August, and all of a sudden this team's got some downfield weapons, and their defense. I mean, of all the divisions, in my mind, the NFC South is the best. The AFC South might be the most competitive. There's, from between the top, the Jaguars are lined as a 9-win team, and the Colts at the bottom are lined as a 7.5-win team.
There you go.
So it really could be anybody's division, but there is a lot to like about the Texans, with one exception, and this is why I'm not picking Houston.
Okay.
Their offensive line is a big problem.
It is.
Deshaun Watson getting hurt last year?
You're right.
Deshaun Watson might get hurt this year as well, playing behind the skill position is loaded, the defense is loaded, everything's loaded.
You know what they're like? You know what they remind me of? Seattle. Even the Seattle team, which is why I'm going to stick with them with that offensive line, because even a couple of years ago when Seattle was still playing good football, their offensive line was still the biggest issue on the team. It's just a matter of how bad is it going to be? Is it going to be like 32nd in the NFL bad? And if that's the case, then I guess I'm in big trouble with the pick. But as long as they're 25th, 24th best offensive line, I think they can get over it with everybody else healthy.
Sure, Watson's mobility helps, and keeping everyone else healthy is very key. One thing that I want to are we allowed to disagree? Of course we're allowed to disagree.
Yes, we better.
The Colts are going to stink. Come on.
Okay.
This defense is bottom tier. Where are the weapons? Where's the line? Do you really think Luck? When Luck starts taking hits, I've got my concerns about Indy. In my mind, they're the clear last place team in this division.
Okay. So we know who's in last, and we don't know yet. Who'd you pick then? Who's winning the division?
I'm going to go with the Jags.
You are? Okay.
I'm a believer in that defense. I'm with you on Blake Bortles. Well, of course, Bortles came out of the same draft as Tannehill. Bortles has been healthy the whole time. Tannehill hasn't.
Great draft. Who's second and third?
Let's go with Jacksonville, Houston, Tennessee, Indy.
All right, let's go to the West, and the Chargers are the favorite. And look, maybe they should be at this point. Phillip Rivers is still kind of in the prime of his career, but of course the prime for NFL quarterbacks go to about 38 now. But anyway, the defense is catching up with him. The offensive line's better than it's been, which is huge. He's got more depth at receiver, which is huge. He's got the running game. He's got everything he wants now on offense that he hasn't had in a long time. And, of course, you got Bosa and Ingram on defense. So I think they will win this division. I'm going to go with Denver in second. And I just really think Denver's defense is going to be better than it's been since their Super Bowl win. And I don't think Keenum is. I think the switch off to have Keenum there is going to be a big lift for Denver because they've had terrible quarterback play the last couple of years. I'll go Kansas City third and the Raiders fourth.
Yeah, we'll have a difference of opinion here. I'm going to take the Chiefs as the team to win the division.
You're going to be high on Mahomes.
Well, Andy Reid is a quarterback guru, correct?
He is, absolutely.
Andy Reid said, I don't want Alex Smith. I want Patrick Mahomes. That wasn't like, we have to let this guy. That's Andy Reid saying, I want this guy to be my quarterback. Look at the weapons for Kansas City. Everybody they've got has quick strike with touchdown potential. And if their defense finished ranked 29th last year, and then jettisoned all these veterans. They're like, the defense stinks, going to be worse. It can't be worse than it was last year. And even if the talent level in there, the execution and the effort's going to be there. They dumped all the veterans. So I do think Kansas City is the best team in that division. The Chargers, the hype is there. The personnel is there. I don't trust Anthony Lynn. I flat out don't. I saw so many bad let's put it this way. The Chargers should have been a playoff team last year, and they found ways to lose a lot of games they're supposed to win. I think that'll happen again this year. Battling for last place, Denver and Oakland. I'll call Oakland for third and Denver for last. You say Keenum. Let's not forget who Case Keenum is. Case Keenum is a backup quarterback that couldn't get the job done in Houston, and then he got coached up out of his mind last year with the best coaching staff in football in Minnesota. I don't know that the Broncos have the second-best coaching staff in football. I've got my concerns about a Keenum regression.
No, I definitely had my concerns last year. I ripped the Denver entire coaching staff to hell and thought Vance Joseph was very lucky to keep his job. But then he made some moves. He understood, okay, I got to get some other coaches in here that are maybe smarter than I am. So we'll see. We'll see how those guys go. But with Lynn, I was also the same way in the beginning of the season, as you know. It was for that first month of the season, Lynn was making some bad decisions. The team was they were losing terrible games. The decision to have the rookie kicker was just a bad decision. It cost them the first couple of games. So, but they did get better. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. As the season wore on, they won games. He's still basically a rookie head coach. But this is also a division where, especially, look, I with Kansas City, they definitely have what it takes. There's no question. By the way, Eric Berry's back. And they also get the Fuller kid in on the Redskin trade in the secondary. So
that'll help.
Yeah, both of those guys will help tremendously. Absolutely. All right, let's go to the NFC, and we'll get back to the AFC playoffs after we're done with the NFC. Let's go with the NFC East, defending champ, the Eagles. I see them winning this division again. I think the only way they come back down to earth a little bit is if Wentz stays out and Foles just looks more like the regular season quarterback he was last year than the playoff quarterback, and they have the hangover and all that. But this division is maybe the worst in football in my mind. So I think it makes life a lot easier for the Eagles to win the division. I'll take the Giants in second. Their offense should be tremendously better. And I'm going to go Washington third, Dallas fourth. I can flip that, though, either way.
Yeah, I'll take the Eagles. Maybe. I think the Redskins are the team. They're being projected as the last place team in the division. I think they're very live.
I agree. I don't think they're that bad. I think Alex Smith's going to be a big boost for them.
They need it. Kirk Cousins, for all the success he had in Washington with the fourth quarter comeback, there's a reason they were trailing all those games.
That's right.
And Alex Smith I'm not going to he does not put his team into holes. Washington should be able to run the football. And let's not forget, when you talk about the injury-riddled team from last year, certainly the Texans stand out in that regard.
That's true.
The Redskins stand out in that regard as well. They're as healthy as they've been, it feels like, in 3 years. Mm-hmm. And nothing but positive buzz out of camp for Washington. Philly, do we see the Super Bowl curse, the hangover?
Possible.
And, boy, you look at that schedule for the Eagles, not a lot of easy games for Philadelphia this year.
Sure.
In fact, I don't think they have any. Not a single game lined against a team that's lined below 7 wins. So I worry about Philly getting worn down despite their depth. And, I'll call Dallas third and Giants fourth. The Giants have no quarterback. Eli Manning's a Hall of Famer. Great. Eli Manning was about the 30th ranked quarterback in the NFL last year, and I'm not convinced he's going to be better this time.
Okay. As far as the Redskins, too, is that they were very smart the last couple of years to pick up those 2 Alabama defensive linemen because they were really bad on defense for several years. So they made some smart moves there. They bolstered their defense a little bit, and that was necessary. Hey, you know what? If Adrian Peterson has got some life in his legs, like he looked like in the preseason, that is going to be huge for them as well. We'll see. Again, I agree with you with Alex Smith. He's not going to maybe be the flashy Kirk Cousins, but he's also going to be probably a better quarterback at this stage of his career. Whether we want to call it a leader, or build a confidence for the team that we can win games instead of lose them, which a lot of times would happen with Cousins. I think the benefit with Wentz, and they're not going to rush him, is even if the Eagles get off to a slow start and Wentz doesn't come in till week 3 or 4, I think just having him back on the team will be a major adrenaline rush for the team, and I expect them to be very good and motivated, especially Wentz, because Wentz did not win the Super Bowl last year, and I think that's also a big difference of why the Eagles pull this out as long as they hang in there until Wentz comes back.
Yeah, Chris Thompson's going to be the starting running back in Washington. Adrian Peterson's a non-factor for that team. He's a backup that has a big name.
But that's a guy that's got to stay healthy, Chris Thompson.
Oh, he's a beast. He's not even on the injury report this week. And you know what? If you're looking for a sleeper in your fantasy drafts, there's one right there, Chris Thompson.
Yeah, he's a game breaker
for Washington. I don't even know if he's being drafted in a lot of
he
leagues.
is. He was drafted in our league late, but he was. But that's the thing. He gets into games, he makes big plays, and then the next week he's hurt. He's out for the year. So that's a shame because he's had so many injuries, good dating back to college, but. I understand definitely why he's a starter, and he should be. Let's go to the North, and I guess this should be between Green Bay and Minnesota. I'm going to go with Green Bay here. The defense is better than it's been in a while, and if you've got a decent defense with Aaron Rodgers, I'm sorry, but Aaron Rodgers will beat Kirk Cousins. So I'll take the Packers first, Vikings second, Detroit third, Bears fourth.
Yeah, Minnesota's got the best coaching staff in the NFL. And that's why I'm going to pick Minnesota over Green Bay at the top of this division. I believe in Mike Zimmer and his staff more than I believe Mike McCarthy and his staff, and it's just that simple.
That's easy.
Period.
Yeah,
and when it comes to who's going to win the division, that matters. It's 1 or 2 key games.
I hear you.
Although I am worried about Minnesota's offensive line. It had a bad preseason there, not healthy, coming into September. And, a new QB behind a bad offensive line isn't always a recipe for success. But your sleeper here is the Bears. I'm telling you. We had Chicago, Matt Nagy in August didn't do a thing. He didn't show anybody anything. They ran the most vanilla schemes. So when you see Chicago line up against Green Bay on Sunday night, Packers have no idea what's coming. Trubisky, there's your sleeper. I think the Bears might be pretty good, and this division is tough. Lions, they're my last place team.
All right, let's go to the South, and this has been one of the best divisions in football the last couple of years. Used to be the worst, wasn't that long ago, but that's the great thing about parity in the NFL. I'm going to go ahead, though, and I think it's a flip of the coin between Atlanta and New Orleans to win the division. I'll take Atlanta. New Orleans second, Carolina third, Bucks way back in last. But I definitely like these 3 teams again to make the playoffs. I just think they're just you've got not only the quarterbacks, but Atlanta and New Orleans, without any major injuries, to me are just givens to make the postseason. The question's with Carolina making the postseason, but I like the move to Norv Turner. And I also like some of their new additions. I think they got a lot more skill position weapons on offense. And even on defense, they look like they're coming on a little bit. Shaq Thompson looked like a beast in the preseason. So I'm going to go ahead and say, matter of fact, all 3 teams make the postseason.
Yeah, I see Carolina has, you want to talk about it, there are 2 teams that had really bad August when it came to offensive line injuries, Panthers and the Cowboys. Of course, they meet up in week 1, so I can't fade either one of them.
Yeah.
But Carolina's offensive line is a problem right now.
Sure.
And when you look at Norv Turner's history, Norv Turner's the master of this, the king of the 7-step drop. It's not Norv Turner's offenses are great when he has a great offensive line. That's how he got a reputation for the Cowboys all those years ago. But when he doesn't have the offensive line, like he did in Minnesota last year, he gets run out of town. I worry about Carolina this season. I really do. Odds, the favorite first coach to be fired in 2018. Dirk Cutter's a favorite there.
I
wouldn't disagree with
that.
that.
I agree with it. Yes. He should have been fired a year ago.
So I'm with you in terms of the Saints and the Falcons as the two teams to win this division. I do think it comes down to Atlanta or New Orleans, but I'm going with Drew Brees and company. Look, this is a Saints team that cannot withstand injuries. They do not have depth, but their starters are as good as any team in the NFL, maybe better, and that's scary for the rest of the league. As long as New Orleans is healthy, that's a very, very scary team.
Absolutely, and odds aren't bad on either one of those teams to win the Super Bowl. We'll get to that in just a minute. West, I think everybody's taking the Rams. I see no reason not to, barring an injury to Goff. They're 8-1 to win the Super Bowl. That is a different story. But one of my other sleepers, to tell you the truth, is going to be Arizona. I'm going to take Arizona second. Seattle third, and the Niners last, even though I think we're talking about 7 to 9 wins for all three. I'm not expecting bad seasons from anybody in this division. I just like I like the fresh new coach for Arizona. Their offensive line is a lot better than it was last year. They get David Johnson back in the backfield. Of course, they got to keep Bradford healthy, and that's what I'm betting on. But not that I'd bet on Arizona to do anything but finish in second place. So that's not going to get me anything. And I also like the fact they went out and grabbed a couple of corners. Taylor was a nice pickup. I like what I've seen out of Ben Wickery in the preseason, and Budda Baker is going to be a star in the defensive backfield as well. So I'll take Arizona second, and that'll be one of my sleepers. But Rams definitely win this division.
Yeah, and the Rams are like the Saints in my mind. On paper, they're clearly an elite team when you look at the starters. When you look at the depth, you have some concerns there. You have a lot of concerns there.
Sure.
But going into the campaign, I'm not going to predict injury riddle for L.A.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Or injury riddle for New Orleans. You have to look at this team and say they are the best team in this division. The 49ers have gotten a lot of hype here in Las Vegas.
Too much.
Hot finish last year. Garoppolo 100% perfect as the starter, and certainly Shanahan as a coach is someone that the markets, and the Vegas insiders are pretty high on.
Yeah, sure.
As for Arizona, I like their defense, too. So if they can run the football and play defense,
yes.
In terms of week by week, I have two teams that are dead nuts under teams. The Browns aren't going to score a whole lot of points. They're going to stop everyone. And the Cardinals aren't going to score a whole lot of points, and they're going to stop everyone. They are the team I'm looking to bet under the total on a week-in, week-out basis.
Okay.
But, and Seattle, the jury's out on the Seahawks for me. I really think there's hope. And here in Vegas, the Seahawks are being viewed as an afterthought right now, as a team that's come and gone. I'm not convinced that's the case. And Russell Wilson, he's no joke. I wanted one last point about Arizona. I always worry about betting on the teams with the rookie quarterbacks. Even though Josh Rosen opens the season on the bench, Arizona starts 2-6. Josh Rosen's a QB, and the rest of the season's a throwaway.
Or, of course, Bradford gets hurt week one. And then all bets are off. And that's entirely possible. You like the Niners second?
I'll call L.A., San Fran, Seattle, Arizona. I got Arizona in last place.
All right, let's go with our playoff picks, and then we'll get into the futures before we wrap it up. So in the AFC, I'm going to go with my championship game. I'm going to have my playoff teams first. I'm going to go my 6 playoff teams. I'm going to go with, in order, New England first, Houston second, Chargers third, Bengals fourth, Denver fifth, Baltimore sixth. So I'm going to have Pittsburgh and Jacksonville and the Chiefs miss the playoffs, and I guess you could throw Tennessee in there as well, and Buffalo. So I'm going to have 5 new playoff teams in the AFC. That does happen in the NFL. How are you going to see it? Oh, and I'll throw in just the last thing. I'm going to have the Chargers and the Patriots in the championship game in Foxborough, and I'm taking the Chargers to win the AFC this season at 20-1 to win the Super Bowl. My friend?
That's a good number. Certainly. I picked the Patriots, the Ravens, the Jaguars, and the Chiefs as my 4 division winners at the AFC.
Okay, so it wasn't in order. Okay, so Baltimore.
No, yeah, and then when you talk about wild cards, I'll put Houston as 1.
Okay.
and I have no problem with the Chargers, but you know what? Let's have some fun. I'm going to put Miami as my sleeper.
Miami,
there.
All right.
The Dolphins.
You crazy
as
man.
a sleeper wild card team.
Okay, sleeper wild card team. You got it. And who's championship game?
The championship game, I'm going to call him. Let's, again, you don't want to go too much with this, but I think the can I put Bortles in a championship game? I can. I'll call Jags Chiefs in the AFC championship game.
And the winner?
With Jacksonville going to the Super Bowl this year.
All right, Jacksonville over Kansas City. All right, and then in the NFC, I'm going to go Philly as my one. Actually, excuse me. No, I was looking at something else. My 1 seed is the Rams, Packers 2 seed, Philly 3 seed, Atlanta, New Orleans, Carolina in that order, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to go with the Eagles back to the championship game, but this time they're going to lose to the Falcons. So I'm going to put Atlanta back in the Super Bowl. I just think they're too good defensively, and I think that for all the issues they had last year on offense in the red zone, they got a little bit more. They got a couple more weapons, but also more importantly, Sarkisian's had a whole offseason and the whole coaching staff, which is a good one in general, to figure things out. And I think if they can do that, what they did last year, which was a little bit of an underachieving season, a little tweak here and a little tweak there, put them in the Super Bowl. But definitely, look, I got New Orleans and Atlanta in the first wild card game. I mean, in the first matchup, and that could be one of those games where if New Orleans wins, they're in the Super Bowl. So, who do you got?
Yeah, I mean, the NFC is tough because there's no room for sleepers.
I know.
I mean, I wanted to use the Redskins. I'm like, Redskins are my sleeper.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I was going to use the Chiefs in the AFC, but they're not I guess they're not a sleeper. I had them going to the championship game. But we had the Eagles, the Vikings, the Saints, and the Rams, all as division winners, which leaves us room for 2 wild cards. Atlanta's got to be one of them.
Okay.
And Green Bay's got to be one of them.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
So
right.
I want to pick the Redskins. I just don't have room for Washington as a deep sleeper here. When it comes to the title games, again, on paper, it's hard. But I'll call Vikings versus the Saints.
Okay.
In the
rematch
NFC championship game, and I'll call for a New Orleans-Jacksonville Super Bowl.
New Orleans over Minnesota. So interesting that in the NFC we both have playoff rematches, and we both go with the team that lost last year. I got Atlanta over Philly, and you have New Orleans over Minnesota. Okay, so you've got Jacksonville and New Orleans. Boy, that is a Southern regional Super Bowl. You can't get more southeast than that. And I have the Chargers and the Falcons, and I'm going to go ahead and take the Chargers to win it all at 20-1. I know you would never do that since you just slammed Anthony Lynn, and you're going to go Jacksonville and New Orleans. So who's your champ?
Drew Brees. Drew Brees.
Okay.
Saints. Yeah.
And the Saints.
I'll call for another ring in New Orleans.
And remember, I was saying, the odds on the Saints and the Falcons are good. I mean, you could take just 2 of those teams if you want to win the Super Bowl, and you're going to sit back and expect that they'll be in the postseason. Saints 14-1, Falcons 15-1. So those are good odds for both of those teams.
I mean, that's realistically, okay? I mean, I'm allowed to give gambling advice here. I would never bet that. Okay, I would never ever think about taking a team at 14 or 15-1. Even an elite team like that, because when you talk about odds to win the division, you got to beat 3 teams. Talk about odds to win the Super Bowl, you got to beat all 31 other teams. So the way I tend to get involved with these types of wagers, with season win totals and with division bets, much more so than Super Bowl bets. That's the reason that the Super Bowl odds are on full display. As you walk into every sportsbook in Las Vegas, the books make a fortune off those wagers. They tend to be negative expectations.
All right, so give me your sleepers then right now based on the odds. So a little bit better odds. And then go ahead and throw a few sleepers in there.
Oh, Kansas City. Kansas City at 35, 40-1. I mean, what number are you showing?
I've got 25, but between 25 and 40.
And be aware that you can shop around with all of these future book odds.
Definitely.
They vary dramatically,
as we just said,
from book to book.
Big difference.
Big difference. So even just going across the street. But again, you're looking for deep sleepers. The Bears maybe. There's a ton of upside in Chicago, and before they got Mac, I was seeing in the better than 50-1 on the Bears.
What's
I'm
their
not sure if that's still
division?
available
What's
right
their
now.
division number?
I'm sorry?
What's their division number? Bears. Because that to me, that would be much more likely, of course.
No, because they can get it in the wild card. I'm seeing plus 800, plus 900, plus 650 at 3 books I'm looking at right now.
7 or 8 to 1 to win the division.
Yeah.
Okay. See, even with me, by taking the Bengals at 8-9 to 1 to win the division, I feel a lot more confident with that than 70 to 1 even, because it's one thing picking the Bengals to get to win the division. It's a completely different thing with the Bengals. With Dalton, they haven't even won a playoff game, and to think they're going to win a Super Bowl. So yes, I'll go. Let's see, sleeper. I'm going to go. You know what? Baltimore's a good one. 45 to 1. They've got the MO with Harbaugh and Flacco and Suggs. So 45 to 1's a good one for the Ravens. I think the Carolina is. Let's say they get that offensive line. Look, none of those guys are out for the year. So, Khalil is, but he's terrible. So go ahead and if they get everybody else healthy, then with Newton in the playoffs, he's a dangerous guy. 35 to 1 is not bad. And maybe a little bit further back, I probably wouldn't take him. But, with Russell Wilson at 55 to 1 and Pete Carroll, why not? All right. So, by the way, the game tonight, Atlanta-Philly. Surprised the line's only 1 now?
I'm not surprised at all. That being said, if you wanted to bet the Falcons, and the ones are gone. It's mostly pick'ems. I'm seeing, in some books, Atlanta plus 1 or minus 1 right now.
Really?
I mean, it's been nothing but Falcons money, heavy Falcons money. The long-term history of the Thursday night team playing at home in the opener is you play the Super Bowl winner gets the Thursday night home game every year.
Yes.
The long-term history says you just back them. The short-term history says no way. The last 3 years, the home favorite has failed to cover.
Well, that's the most important one then.
In that, do you want to look at the long-term sample size
No,
or the short-term sample size?
I like the short-term, of course.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the NFL betting marketplace is when you have the concept of this is what's happening over the long term and this is what's happening over the short term. Sometimes it makes some of this stuff easier to break down. I lean under tonight. We've already seen a fair bit of money come in on the under for this ball game. We talked about that Falcons defense. That Falcons defense is good.
Oh, yeah.
They're real good again this year. Philadelphia, I understand they gave up 33 points or whatever it was in the Super Bowl. Their defense is really good, too. They've got the best defensive line rotation in the NFL, and I certainly have no questions with their secondary. So you hate to play unders, opening night, but this feels like an under. I would expect a relatively low-scoring affair.
All right. Sounds good, Teddy. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to talking to you every week. We'll have a little bit more time to get into it with games, of course, and other things next week. And again, anybody out there listening can follow you on Twitter at Teddy_covers. And, of course, a lot of people know you in the industry as Teddy Covers, so there's that. Again, I'm looking forward to it, Teddy. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you again next week.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, you got it. All right, that is Teddy Savransky joining us here on the OFN today, and that is going to wrap it up. Now, coming up in a very short while, if you're listening live, which most of our listeners are listening on demand, we've got our College Football Weekly Show with Mitch Light from Athlon. He's going to be joining me, and we're going to have a lot of fun talking college football. We'll actually be giving our picks like we gave last week. We give 3 picks and an upset special, double-digit upset special. So that's coming up on our college football show. A lot to talk about there with Mitch Light from Athlon Sports. So don't forget to follow us on Twitter at PrimeSN, as in Sports Network. We'll let you know when all these shows are available on demand, and that'll do it. So we'll see you again for OFN Today tomorrow on a Friday. So we'll take a look at the games in the NFL tomorrow. That's going to be a lot of what we're going to go over tomorrow with Dave Koken, who's going to be my co-host for Fridays. So I'm looking forward to doing that, getting into these NFL games, and we'll wrap up the Thursday night NFL game as well. So thanks for tuning in to the OFN Today on the Ourlads Football Radio Network. And you know the drill, Alpha Mike Foxtrot.